Friends, I want to welcome you again today to this YouTube program. The title of the program is Walking with God in the Garden. Those of you who regularly watch this program probably note that I'm in a little different attire today. I'm sitting in front of you with a tie and a white shirt. I want to tell you a little bit about the experience of today. I oftentimes officiate at funerals, and I did that today of a dear friend. This friend of mine had lived a good life. He was 87 years old and got cancer and passed away. I think of his life and what it meant for him to walk in his garden. He was a professional person and contributed immeasurably to many people's lives here in the community. But his walk in the garden now is over. He had his time with God, and I appreciate that. And as I officiated at his service today, I highlighted the fact that he did walk with God. There were times, however, when God had to carry him, as God carries us, with that proverbial poem, Footprints in the Sand. If you've never read it, I would encourage you to do that. Also, during this time of the year, this attire wouldn't fit what's going on in my garden. I'm spending a lot of time in the garden, and would hope that you would also, if you have time for gardening. It's a beautiful time of the year here in Southern California. Everything is ideal, the weather's perfect, and the ground, if you work it, is ready for the seed. I think of what it means to be a gardener in so many ways. It's an opportunity for growth and for challenge and for experimentation. One of the things that I really enjoy doing is getting new seed. And today, it seems as if there are all kinds of new varieties that are on the market. You can't always buy starters like in a store, but you have to start your own, and you start it with seed. I enjoy that. It's a big part of my life. And I'm thankful for the privilege and the opportunity to do that. But today, I don't want to just talk about gardening, although I feel that I could spend the rest of my time here on this YouTube program giving you some secrets of gardening. But one of the great secrets of gardening is to be able to share your thoughts. In our world today, that is something that many people fear. They fear speaking out, saying what they believe, what their convictions are. There seems to be so many oppositions to how we feel as we express ourselves. People downgrade us. They call us names. They say that we shouldn't be saying those things, or we shouldn't express them. It's a time, really, friends, where we are confronted by the fact that we are losing our freedom of speech. I hope that you will take it upon yourself to think about what I'm going to read here today and share with you on this YouTube program. It is a passion of mine to exemplify the freedom of speech. There have been times, frankly, when I've been groups and people, and I have found that I can't say what I really feel. People take resistance to it, and they let me know how they feel about it. But in reality, one of the great stories of the Bible is the story of David. The Bible tells us he was just a boy when Samuel, the judge, came to anoint him to be the future king of Israel. He had a number of brothers, all of them older. Samuel selected the youngest of the family and anointed him to become the future king of Israel. The Israelites were fighting a group of people called the Philistines. They were located along the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. and oftentimes proved to be a thorn in the side of the Israelites. When Israel became weak, the Philistines encroached upon them, took their crops, made them captives. And one day, the people of Israel were fighting a war against the Philistines. And there was this man, Goliath, who was a giant. And he challenged Israel with his strength. Every day he would stand there in the middle between the two armies and shout accusing remarks and defaming remarks about the God of Israel. David comes on the scene, and this is only the beginning of our stories about David. I'll be sharing some thoughts about him as time goes on. But today, it is the first instance that we meet David, besides his being crowned, or let's say anointed to be the future king of Israel. And it is when his father tells him to take some lunch out to his brothers who are fighting the Philistines. I've been at this site. It's a very interesting site in Israel where the Israelites and the Philistines were camped against each other. It's called the Valley of Elah. And it is there that David makes his appearance. We're told that when he comes, he overhears the Philistine who is making this challenge, this giant Goliath. And David asks the question, what will the man get if he kills this giant? Listen to the words of his brother when he takes homage, when he rebukes his brother. When Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the men, he burned with anger at him and asked, why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the desert? David was a sheep carer, and his responsibility was to stay home and take care of the sheep for his dad. I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle. His brother did not take favorably to David. He put him down, called him a seated brat. And along with that, he defames him by saying, you ought to be home taking care of those few sheep out in the pasture. Here's what David says. Now, what have I done? Said David. Can't I even speak? I like these words. They're words very appropriate for us in our day. Can't I even speak? I have a mind. I ought to be able to say what I feel and how I believe. Don't deny me that right. Friends, in this day, there are many people who don't speak out. Unfortunately, we have seen evidence of those who have spoken out. In Mexico, which borders California, there have been 5 journalists who have been killed by the mob, by the mafia, by the drug dealers, because they have spoken out. It has happened in Russia today. People who speak out and say their words and their minds. Can't I even speak? What a tragedy when we lose the right and the opportunity to speak and to say how we feel and what we believe. I know it's most comfortable when people will speak what we want them to say, but it is not the most desirable. The most desirable is the exercising of that freedom, the right to speak. To take the question of David, what have I done? Can't I even have the right to speak my mind? Friends, if there's nothing else today on this YouTube program that you get, I hope and pray that you will always seize the opportunity not to defame people, not to say ignorant things, but to speak with wisdom, your peace of mind. It is a privilege that we have in this country and one that God gave us. And David long ago points it out. Can't I even speak? Why do you want to shut me down? Friends, this is our thought for today. I know it's a brief one, but God bless you. Have a wonderful week, and I pray that you'll tune in again next week to this YouTube program. Have a wonderful day.